Hey guys, welcome back to 4-Wheel Driver's Life. Before we get into the comparison, I wanted to be upfront. This is an apples to oranges comparison, because honestly, apples to apples comparison are just kinda boring. The whole point is to show you the true visual differences between these two lights. You don't actually know whether something is an apple or an orange until you see them side by side in the dark. On one side, we have the newly released Baja Designs LP6 DOT. It is designed primarily for vehicles with round OEM headlight housings, like Jeeps or motorcycles, or for custom builds where it can mount universal modules. The Morimoto XB EVO, on the other hand, is a direct bolt-on premium headlight upgrade for my Toyota Tacoma. Plug and play, factory fitment, no custom brackets needed. And this particular set I'm running has the supercharger driver installed, which unlocks the full performance of the LEDs. That means it's not limited by DOT brightness regulations anymore. So yes, it's going to be seriously bright, but technically off-road only at this point. In this video, I'll be testing them the same way as I always do. We're going to compare the beam pattern both on the garage door and out in the field. We'll also measure the lux number and calculate the candela based on the distance from the garage door. We'll also measure the power draw in terms of amps at 12.8 volts. Then I'm going to provide the driver's point of view footage so you can see what your eyes will actually see from the driver's seat. And of course, we'll talk about the warranty, pricing, vehicle fitment, and which one makes more sense depending on your build needs. Alright, let's kick things off with the driveway tests. As always, camera settings are locked in so brightness and color doesn't shift between shots. The lights are placed around 17 feet away from the garage door and aimed with the same angle. Now we're seeing the Baja Designs LP6 DOT's low beam. The lux measurement is 1716 lux. The distance from the garage door is 17 feet, which is 5.1 meters away. The candela number can be calculated by using 1716 times 5.1 squared, which gives us 44,600 candela for low beam, and the color temperature is around 5800 Kelvin. The lux number measured for Baja Designs high beam is 2618 lux. At that same distance, the candela is calculated to be 2618 times 5.1 squared equals to 68,000 candela. And the color temperature of the high beam is measured at around 5600 Kelvin. The regular LP6 off-road version's sight shooting has been changed to DRL function, with 2 amber LEDs on either side. The lux number measured for that is 44 lux, with a 2000 Kelvin color temperature. The lux measured for Morimoto's XB EVO supercharged low beam is 3897 lux. At the same distance, the candela number is calculated to be 3897 times 5.1 squared, equals to around 101,000 candela, with a color temperature of 5700 Kelvin. The lux measured for Morimoto's high beam is 4678 lux. At 17 feet or 5.1 meters away, the candela number is calculated to be 4678 times 5.1 squared, equals to around 121,000 candela, with the same level of color temperature. For the current draw, since the Morimoto headlight is integrated into the factory harness, I wasn't able to pick the right wire to measure the current, so I only measured the Baja Designs. The backlight or DRL of Baja Designs LP6 DOT version, single light, is drawing around 0.44 amp. The low beam of the LP6 DOT draws around 1.86 amp, and high beam draws around 2.81 amp. Assuming the lights operate at 12.8 volts, that is around 36 watts for high beam and 24 watts for low beam, and about 5 to 6 watts for the DRL backlight. Here is how they look like on the garage door with the power consumption, lux, and candela numbers. For low beam of the Baja Designs LP6 DOT, you'll notice a very clean cutoff and a softer hotspot, very typical of a compliance-focused beam pattern. The glare or spill is very well controlled. Now let's look at the Morimoto XB EVO's low beam on the top left corner. It's also got a good cutoff on the top of the beam. However, there is some kind of glare above the cutoff. I've spoken to the engineer of the Morimoto, and according to him, this is intentional. This is by design to light up the street signs. And this graph from the engineer Yoshi Ishida also have all the reference points where you can see how it translates from the garage door to the actual road. Now let's look at the bottom right corner. This is the LP6 DOT's high beam. The high beam is definitely brighter and reaching higher than the low beam, but still very composed, given the DOT limitation. And the top right corner is XB EVO's high beam supercharged. This is where you really see that power bump. The hotspot shoots way up, and the upper spread covers a ton of visual real estate. If low beam was energetic, this high beam is full send. To really understand how these numbers and patterns translate into real-world visibility, let's take both of them out into the field. Same positions, same 400-yard tree lines at the end of the field, same camera settings. Here we're looking at the Baja Designs LP6 DOT low beam. You can see it has a very clean cutoff, strong illumination right in front of the vehicle, and good visibility off the road shoulders. Exactly what DOT approval focuses on, safety and control. The high beam does exactly what a road legal high beam should. More distance, more height, more visibility further down the lane, without blowing out everything above the horizon. The tree lines at the end of the field is around 400 yards away. And here's XB EVO supercharged low beam. The foreground hotspot is more intense. The overall beam width is wider with more light spills to each side. Overall, definitely a more aggressive low beam. And here's XB EVO supercharged high beam. It has a huge jump in throw. That hotspot just launches downrange. And notice the way it lights up the tree lines all the way to the 400 yards? That's a very high intensity high beam. And that's the output you're getting when you take the limiter off. Now I'm going to flick back to back between the Baja Designs LP6 DOT low and high beam. And now I'm flicking between Morimoto XB EVO's low and high beam. Now I'm flicking between low beams of Baja Designs LP6 and Morimoto XB EVO. Now between high beam of Baja Designs LP6 and Morimoto's XB EVO. Here is a low beam comparison between the two lights from a different angle. And here is a high beam comparison between the two lights. Alright, I'm going to show you guys the driver's perspective on the road. I'm just going to stop in the middle of the road briefly. Keep in mind, this is Morimoto low beam. Alright, ready? So this is a Morimoto low beam, Morimoto high beam. Baja Designs LP6 DOT low beam. Baja Designs LP6 DOT high beam. Low beam. High beam. All right, let's go. This is Baja Designs low beam. This is Morimoto's low beam. Baja Designs high beam. This is gonna be definitely better than the stock halogen headlights from any manufacturer. The Baja Designs LP6 DOT for Jeeps, JL, and JTs priced at $999. For motorcycles, it's about $1,300, and it's $899 for Jeep JK, and that's for a pair. Just like everything else Baja Designs offers, the LP6 DOT comes with limited lifetime warranty. The Morimoto XB EVO Tacoma headlight comes in at $1,924 with the supercharger option, and Morimoto offers a 5-year limited warranty. Before we move on, there are a few things to know about this test. While I always try to make my comparisons as accurate as possible, there are some limitations to this setup. First is light placement. I have two LP6 DOT mounted closer to the midline of the Tacoma compared to where the factory headlights sit. That means the distance between the lights is going to be narrower than the headlights of the Jeep JL or JK, both of which have round headlights set wider apart. Now, does that affect the results? Potentially yes. At first, I aimed the LP6 slightly outward to mimic the wider spread of the Jeep setup, but as I went further downfield, the beams started to separate too much, so I ended up aiming them perfectly parallel, straightforward, to keep things consistent and measurable. It's a reminder that aiming matters a lot, not just for performance, but also for safety and compliance. So if you're doing your own setup, take your time with aiming. It makes a bigger difference than people think. Next, the Morimoto XB EVO I'm testing here is the supercharged version, which, as mentioned, is not DOT compliant. After talking to the engineer at Morimoto, they told me that the DOT compliant version puts out around 70 to 75% of the supercharged output. So towards the end of this video, I'll include a quick comparison table showing what those numbers would look like if this were the standard DOT version, just to give you a fair baseline. And lastly, something pretty interesting about the Baja Designs LP6 DOT. If you're wiring them through your own switch panel or controller, you can actually activate both low beam and high beam at the same time. That's something you cannot safely do on the standard off-road version LP6. Sending power to both pins in the DT connector at once would normally fry the board. But on the DOT version, Baja Designs designed the circuitry so you can run both beams together without causing damage, which makes sense for a factory headlight function, so that you don't have to turn off the low beam to turn on the high beam where everything's on. So after all the tests, measurements, and night runs, here's a takeaway. The supercharged Morimoto XB EVO clearly puts down the bigger numbers. Its candela and throw are impressive, and the projector optics make it a serious performer for anyone who wants maximum output and that OEM fitment. But numbers don't always tell the full story. The Baja Designs DOT LP6 lights play in a different league. It's built for compliance, control, and reliability. And when you consider it costs about half as much as the Morimoto setup, comes with a lifetime warranty, and offers that classic round headlight look, it's still an awesome option for anyone who doesn't want to stick with a factory appearance. It's not always about raw output, it's about what works for your builds and your needs. Whether that's the LP6 DOT compliant balanced beam or the XB EVO's raw boosted power, both lights absolutely earn their place. If you enjoyed this comparison and found it helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It really supports the channel and keeps these tests going. Check out my fog light comparison video if you haven't seen it yet, and stay tuned for the mega spot beam showdown I'm working on next. It's going to be wild. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.